About a year ago I started an impossible journey. When I first started playing mandolin, so a little over a year ago, I looked at Sierra Hull and Jake Howard and I felt like I'm never going to be able to play like that. It felt super fast and very bouncy, and most of the vocabulary seemed very, very foreign to me as a guitar player and a bass player coming from rock and metal. Until I stumbled over John Reischman and his tune Salt Spring in a David Benedict video. John played Salt Spring solo, and there it was. The tune perfectly worked just on the mandolin as a solo instrument, but also in a full band setting. The language was so old-timey, so folky, and yet it still feels totally fresh and new. It's like meeting a new friend and you feel like you've known each other for years. I wanted that. I knew right then and there, about a week and a half into my mandolin journey, that I wanted, or rather needed, to write something that scratched that itch. Stick around to see if I actually pulled it off, but let's first analyze Salt Spring a little bit. I've obsessed over this tune, like seriously. The frailing banjo technique that he uses on the right hand is just absurdly good. It feels super fast at the same time, but the melody is kinda actually really mid-tempo. It's how the B section just flows really nicely from the A section, but even more important, how the B section flows nicely back into the A section, effectively making it impossible to stop playing the tune. Especially for a beginner also, this tune lets you move across the fretboard quite easily without too much trouble, and it shows you that the 7th fret isn't enemy territory, but rather unexplored lands. I love how the open string drone or frailing sound makes the melody pop even just a little bit more, and there's this feeling of accompaniment to it that like no part is ever alone. I also loved how dynamic the right hand was. It's not straight droning on a string. No, it's ever so slightly quieter than the melody, and that makes it work. It sounds absolutely horrible when you play them at the same volume, and believe me, I played this tune so badly it was hard to recognize, and still I have by no means reached a level of familiarity with it, or the mandolin for that matter, that I can honestly say that I play it anywhere near as well as John Reischman does. But I knew I wanted some of that for myself and for my own tune. So coming from guitar, and as I said, rock and metal guitar in particular, I knew about drone strings, but nothing about banjo techniques, so that was all foreign language to me as well. What I didn't know about was hammer-on and pull-offs, so I wanted to incorporate some of that language that I knew back from rock and metal guitar onto my mandolin instrumental piece. And I knew I wanted my piece to be a little bit slower than Salt Spring. Salt Spring works wonderfully across a range of tempos, but once it gets too slow, at least for my ears, it sort of falls apart. It needs more notes introduced into it. But the way that John plays it on the recordings, if you slow it down too much, it tends to lose something. But you can play it faster and it still retains that, which is really saying something. I wanted my tune to sit the opposite end of that spectrum, to sound very good, even slowed down to the absolute minimum, so that it's more beginner friendly, and sort of lose its groove after it gets to the Salt Spring point. Basically, making an accompanying track to Salt Spring for beginners. I'm still quite new to mandolin. I've only been playing for a little over a year now. So I have this other issue. Germany. That's where I live. In the southwest, in the middle of nowhere, hardly the place to find a bluegrass jam. So I often sit on the couch or chair just by myself and just play mandolin. But while I enjoy playing more up-tempo songs and tunes in my duo, when I'm on my own, I favor more slow melodies, I found. So I wanted my tune to feel like that, like improvised on the spot, sitting alone on the couch, you know, by like a fire or something, just to feel at home, the same way that I felt at home in Salt Spring when I heard it for the first time. How do I go about making my own Salt Spring now? I need my tune to feel old but still fresh. I need it to feel impossible to stop playing it. I need it to traverse the fretboard at least enough to the 7th fret, so there's a little bit of shifting involved. And I need the melody to be easy enough to hum and to just get stuck in your brain for days on end. Nothing easier than that, right? The weird part is, I think I actually did it. I'm calling this tune White Water, so even the name is in homage to Salt Spring. And I know I could never reach Salt Spring, but I'm taking it as inspiration for this. Here's White Water. Let me know how I did.